Welcome to today's episode of the Mach Neu podcast, where we delve into solutions at the intersection of culture, technology, and innovation. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Dr. Isaac Mpanga, a renowned expert in sustainable food solutions, soil health assessment, and circular agriculture. My name is Andreas Helm, and I know Peter through my work as the manager of the startup Black Forest Nature, which offers oat products under the brand We Like, with origin from the Black Forest region in South Germany. Dr. Mpanga is not only an educator and farmer, but also a prolific author who has dedicated his career to advancing sustainable agricultural practices. He holds a master's degree in crop science from the University of Hohenheim and a PhD in agricultural science. Isaac has held various significant roles, including Faculty Area Associate Extension Agent at the University of Arizona, Project Director at USDA, and R&D Agriculture Sustainability and Best Practice Expert at PepsiCo. Currently, he serves as the Sustainable Food Solutions Director at Yara, North America. Join us as we gain insights into Dr. Mpanga's strategies and personal journey and rethink the challenges of our rapidly evolving world. And with that, without further ado, a warm welcome to you, Isaac.
Hi, Andrews.
Great that you can join the podcast. Isaac, I'll start with the first question. Which personal experiences or moments inspired you to work as a Sustainable Food Solutions Director to promote positive development?
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. Thank you for having me today. So personally, I grew up on a farm in Ghana. Ghana is in West Africa. Those of you who don't know where Ghana is located. So I grew up on a farm, and the only person I saw in the village was a teacher. So I became a teacher. And growing up on the farm, I love farming as well. I saw the way my father farmed. I did the farming myself. So when I decided to go do my bachelor's degree, I was kind of contemplating, should I do like education or should I do agriculture? So I decided to do agricultural science education so that I still keep the education and then the agricultural side of the interest. So I did my bachelor's degree at the University of Education, Winneba, in Mampo in Ghana. And then after that, I went back to teach for, I think, about 2 years at the high school. And then decided, okay, now I want to do my master's degree. And my focus was to do my degree in the US. And then all of a sudden, I saw a post on Facebook. One of my friends posted University of Hohenheim on Facebook, which had free tuition. And then like you don't have to pay any application fees. So I'm like, okay. Let me give it a try. So I applied for the crop science program at the University of Hohenheim, and then got the admission there. And the person that really inspired me on is Professor Harrison. He actually sponsored me from Ghana to Germany to study this program. He used his own personal money to sponsor me there. So that was great. And the good thing is that when I got to the University of Hohenheim, to Professor Gunther Neumann was my supervisor for my master's program and then for my PhD program as well. So the two of them kind of serve as inspiration for me from the early stages of my profession. But the biggest inspiration was looking at how food is produced back in Ghana, looking at the transition that the climate is going through. In the past, you see a lot of, like my father had very good fertile soil to grow, but it hasn't been that in this case. So you guys see a clear climate effect on the food that they are producing and things like that. So that's kind of like the inspiration for me. How can we grow our food in a very sustainable way? How can we grow our food in a way that is equitable, in a way that everybody will be able to? How can we reduce the waste? For example, in Ghana, when it comes to the growing season, you get a lot of waste in some crops because there's no infrastructure to kind of store them. So you get a lot of waste through the streams, and we don't know that necessarily process a lot of our food. So that's one challenge in that aspect as well. So all these things, including all these supervisors that I've seen the way they work, and going through the University of Hohenheim to look at the programs that they run, and getting exposed to the international community really has some level of inspiration on what I'm doing today.
Okay. And now you are actually located in the United States, right?
Yes. So I did my master's program in Hohenheim, and then that was under the bioeffector project that Professor Gunther Neumann led. It was hosted by the University of Hohenheim. And in that project, we looked at the interaction of soil microbial inoculants and how they support the European cropping systems to minimize the effect of, to see how this product can be utilized to augment crop nutrition as well. Yeah, so when I was in the final stages of finishing my PhD work, I got an offer from the University of Arizona in the US. So the University of Arizona offered me a position as an extension faculty to develop a small-scale farming extension and research program for their farms. University of Arizona is one of the states that has a lot of small-scale farmers. So I went in there to develop that small-scale farmers program that got a lot of funding from USDA, about $2 million US dollars funding from USDA to support that work. But the reason why I left the academia is it's just some little bit of politics in academia that I was a little bit shocked. I say, okay, if I have to deal with politics in academia, I probably would prefer to deal with that politics in the corporate world. So that was the reason why I decided to join PepsiCo. And the work that I did at PepsiCo was to support their North America potato growers to develop regenerative agricultural roadmap for each one of them. So each grower has a roadmap indicating what they are doing today and how they are working towards reducing emissions on their farm, increasing biodiversity on their farm, improve soil health, improve water use efficiency, and then livelihood of their farms. Yeah, so these were the things that I supported working on at PepsiCo, North America Potato Business Unit. And one thing that we didn't have control over are the emissions associated to fertilizer production. So when we ran the kind of farm LCAs for the farms to do the reporting, you see that there is an emission that is associated to fertilizer production, and the farmer has no control over that. The food chain companies has no control over that. The only person that has control over that is the input manufacturers, like Yara, who is producing a lot of the nitrogen fertilizers. So when I saw this position that I'm holding at Yara now as Sustainable Food Solutions Director, indicating how Yara is working on reducing emissions from their production using the N2O abatement catalyst technology, and then also using hydropower, and then also working on circular agricultural systems to see, so that was what really piqued my interest to apply for this position. So in my current position now, what I do on a daily basis is working with food chain companies like PepsiCo that I used to work for, like all the food chain companies like McCain, like Danone, Nestle, connecting with them to understand where they want to be in terms of their sustainability goals, and then helping them to understand how Yara solution that has low emissions will support them and their growers to be able to reduce emissions at the farm level. So at Yara, we are not just, and I'm speaking as an individual here, not a representation of Yara. We are not just producing and selling fertilizers. As much as we sell the nitrogen fertilizer, we are also very keen on how the fertilizer is being used. So the 4 R's, meaning that choosing the right source of fertilizer, applying the right rate at the right amount at the right time, it's very important. And it's something that our team has constantly been working with the growers that they work with and the retailers that they work with to understand this, so that they will use the solution the best possible way that will not have a detrimental effect on the environment. From my point of view, it's everyone has a responsibility, right? To produce food in a way that is environmentally friendly and is sustainable and equitable. Everyone along the food chain has a responsibility to play. And for us at the work that I do at Yara, it's a testament to that, because we are very keen on the technology aspect of how we produce the solution to minimize the environmental effects. Now, the farmer and whoever that uses also has a responsibility to use it based on the recommendations that we are given, so that it will not pollute the environment, right? So everyone has a responsibility to make sure that they use the solution in the right manner that will have a very minimal effect on the environment. At the same time, produce food in an amount that we can use to feed, we can feed the world without hunger. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, because it's, from a leverage perspective, it's 20-30% of all the resources globally actually go into the food production. So that's it's a great area of expertise that you can apply there. So what other examples of projects or initiatives can you mention in which you were or are directly involved and that bring about positive changes?
Yeah, so just to elaborate a little bit on what I said earlier, so to be able to do this kind of work, sustainability is a big space, right? And it is very complex. One person cannot do it all, right? So that means that we have to be very open on partnerships, right? How can we do partnerships in a way that is transformative, right? People have kind of focused on the incremental changes, like, okay, let's do it step by step and then do it incrementally. That is good. But when we're talking about transformation, it's when we all partner and are aware of what each other's roles are, each one of us along the food chain's capabilities are, and then we move at once simultaneously. Right. So everybody do their part, different angles, but we all do it at the same time. Right. And that is where transformation will happen. If we don't do it, if we don't coordinate those activities through partnerships, it's going to be very challenging. Everybody is doing their own thing. For example, my company, Yara, is producing low emission fertilizers. If the growers and then the food chain companies don't know that we have low emission fertilizers, that is waste, right? Because they cannot get the benefit of it. They may still be using other solutions that don't have those low emissions. Right?
Yeah.
And that is where my role comes in, talking to these food chain companies, making them understand how our solution compared to other alternatives in terms of emissions. And then they also make a decision to communicate that to their growers. Our solution may be a little bit expensive, right, because of how it's produced. And then they may make a decision, okay, we can support our growers to implement that, right? Now the growers are aware of the solution, so there's a coordinated effort, right? So they do that, and then they're able to do the reporting too. So my work so far has been within the food chain CPG companies, helping them in this context, doing piloting with them to prove concepts and things like that. One other project that I did that was very impactful was when I worked at the University of Arizona. So this was a small-scale farmers program. It's called the Commercial Horticulture and Small Acreage Program that I developed from scratch. So supporting these small-scale farmers who mostly sell their produce at the farmers market to understand the sustainable way of producing their food. And Arizona is one of those areas with water. It's a dry, semi-arid region. So how can the growers use organic amendments to improve their kind of organic matter content in their soils, their soil health, in the soils? How can they use their water in a more effective way, and things like that? And we actually got two funding from USDA. One was from NIFA, another one was from NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. So these were programs that really were implemented on the farmers' fields as an educational programs as well. And the one from NIFA was actually on how to convert. So we have a lot of wineries in that region. They produce grapes and then they use it to make wine. So when I went, I started, they were not using the waste for anything. The waste, the grape pomace, after extracting the juice from the grapes, the grape pomace, which is a waste, were just thrown away into the landfill. So when I went, I was like, okay, our soils don't have very good organic matter content. So I took some of the samples of the grape pomace, sent it to the lab, and then tested to see the mineral content, the pH, and I realized that it was very acidic. It has a very low pH. And then our soils in Arizona was also high pH. Okay. So and the mineral content in terms of the nitrogen was also was it about 2% or so? And the phosphorus and K was also up there. So I'm like, okay, this is something that we can use as an organic amendment to kind of support the pH reduction in those soils, arid soils, which have very high pH. And then also at the same time, the plant can, if only the plant can take up those NPK, that will also become a nutritional source. So I did a pot experiment to see, okay, with wheat and then with maize to see, can the maize germinate? In this, when you mix it, can the plant germinate in the first place? Yes, in the greenhouse, the plant was able to germinate. And then I wrote a proposal to the NIFA, USDA NIFA, to get funding to be able to do the work, do it in the field to see how that works. And we got funded. So by the time the funding came, the growers were already aware of how the effectiveness of the solution. So instead of giving it to me for free, it was actually challenging for me to get the material to use for my experiment. So that was one of those impactful. So right now, that is not a waste anymore in the region. They kind of use it to amend their soil instead of throwing the grape pomace away.
That's great.
Yeah. We actually have a publication on it that is online as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me know the link. I can add it to the podcast information afterwards.
Yep. Sure.
Great. Isaac, What message would you like to convey to your audience to encourage them to also engage in positive developments?
Yeah, Andrew, this is such a this is such a challenging question, right? For me, it's all about understanding where your interests are, right? Looking around, okay, food systems is a complex thing. Our farmers are going through a lot. We see the food, right? In the supermarkets or go to the farmers market, we see the food, but most people don't actually understand what it takes to grow food, right? And if you don't understand what it takes to grow food, it's difficult for you to appreciate, right, how valuable food is.
Mm-hmm.
For example, people will see a carrot because it's run into a root or a rock and it's twisted. They say, no, I don't want to eat this. But that has nothing to do with the value. For the fact that the carrot grew into a rock or a stone and is twisted doesn't change the value of it. I understand what farmers go through to produce it. So for me, it doesn't make any difference between a straight carrot that looks very neat and nice versus a carrot that has a little bit twist, right? So for me, if we can take the time to interact with our farmers, our local farmers, and understand, expose our children, for us to understand the way food is grown, there will be more appreciation on how the food that we see in the supermarket and the food that we are eating, such that the waste that we are having within our food system today will be minimized, right? And one thing that I've said earlier on was that each one of us has a role to play. For the fact that we wake up every day, in particular about our health, in particular about our well-being, we should also be particular about how our food systems are and how it will be in the future, looking at the climate crisis right now. So each one of us has a role to play, but we have to understand, we have to be curious, right? We have to be curious on how our food is produced. We have to be curious to want to be engaged with our farmers, to be engaged with our food systems. And then we have to just identify what is that interest in us. In the course of doing that, we'll identify some interest levels, maybe in the food systems, or in doing that, our children will grow up not running away from food systems. Now, most children want to sit in front of the computer and do coding and do all this file system without most don't want to go into agriculture, which is very challenging, right? So when we start doing all these things, there will be more appreciation, and facing the challenges that growers are facing. In that case, we'll be able to give them the support that they need for us all to have more sustainable food systems. I don't see it to be an individual thing. It's not a farmer's problem. It's everybody's problem. So the more curious we are and the more willing we are to learn, the better we'll all be in the future within the food systems.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's really a great message. I was wondering, you just mentioned also that the farmers go through a lot of things right now, a lot of changes, and now you come with this kind of fertilizer with lower impact. And how do you make it possible that you get a partnership, a transformative partnership, as you say? So what is the benefit for the farmer, or also what is also the benefit for the food chain company to engage with you?
Yeah, so it's not about what I do today. It's all about what we can all do to create a positive impact, right? So for me, the work that I do, I strive to kind of help people understand that it's not, we all have a role to play, like I said earlier. And the way I do this is awareness creation. The more we talk to each other, the more we are willing to engage with each other, the better we will all be in terms of understanding what is possible, what is not possible, to be able to create partnerships and then create a transformation that will be helpful for all of us. So it's all about engagement. It's all about engagement. It's all about talking to people you have not talked to before, like I'm talking to you today, right? Have that open space to talk to other people, to learn more from other. And you, in doing that, we should be willing that, okay, if there is a need to make an adjustment on the way we think about things, we should be willing to do that, right? And we shouldn't go into engagement thinking that we're going to change things. We should go into engaging with other people with the aim of learning from them, with the aim of listening, with the aim of just be there and hear what other people are doing. And in the course of hearing and listening and exchanging, interacting with other people, those transformative ideas will definitely come through the conversation. So conversations are key. We are now in a world where it's even challenging to just get out and talk to your neighbor, right? Everybody is stuck in their own home and things like that. We only talk to our co-workers and things like that. But if we engage more, we'll definitely find solutions. More solutions comes out of engagement. And that is what I do every day. Just trying to be out there and engaging people in conversations and helping them to understand our position and what we do and how what we do, as they also share what they do and their position, we'll find like overlaps, right? Where their interest is, maybe where our interest is, which kind of overlap, and then we can kind of see how possible we can go ahead with working together.
That's very inspiring, yes. So Isaac, I could talk another 3 hours, but I would like to also now come to our final questions from the podcast. That's the one is around your inspirations. So what books have you read? What movies, TV shows have you watched? What music do you listen to that inspires you?
Oh, goodness. That's a tricky one. Yeah, so for me, I am a Christian, right? So the kind of music that I listen to, gospel music, worship music, something that is calm and yeah. So and when you talk about book, the book that I've read much is the Bible. So those are the go-to place for inspirations, go-to place for kind of yeah. As a Christian, that is my go-to place, my biggest books that I've read. Yeah, but in terms of other things, as a scientist, reading publications and reading like other people's work, other people's around sustainability, crop nutrition. These days, what I read more is sustainability reports from other food chain companies, just to understand where they are. When I hear about a food chain company, the first thing I think about is, okay, what do they have a target? Yeah, so I go online to look for their sustainability report, to scan through to see the kind of work that they are doing in terms of emission reduction, biodiversity, how do they support their farmers, how are they supporting their communities and all these other things. So that is most things that I like to engage myself in these days, beside the technical stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And who were early mentors in your career?
So Professor Gunther Neumann, he actually lived around the Black Forest region, if I'm right. Hopefully he did not relocate within the Baden-Württemberg. He retired from the University of Hohenheim. And he was my CZ supervisor. He was my PhD father. Like they said in Germany, how they say, like, they have a term for it in German. I forgot. Sorry.
It's Dr. Vater.
Dr. Father, yes, exactly. Yeah, so he was my Dr. Father. He was very, very supportive. I didn't actually get full funding, but he was there all the time to make sure that I have some stipend to do the work that I needed to do. And in terms of before him, it was Professor Harrison. So Professor Harrison is in Ghana. He's also an agronomist. He used to be the vice chancellor for the University of Energy and Natural Resource in Sunyani in Ghana. And he's also on retirement now. And he's doing some work to support my alma mater, which is the University of, it was called the University of Education, Winneba Mampong campus, but now it's called Amstec also. So those are my two key inspirations who really supported my career this far.
Okay, great. So that's about it. We're at the end of the podcast. I want to thank you very much, Isaac. Thank you for your time and your insights.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you all the best for the future. And hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. And it's always a pleasure to talk to different people. So any opportunity, anytime, we can definitely reconnect as well if there need be. And thanks for the great work you are doing as well. Engaging with different people, bringing different ideas, just to see where everybody is at. It's very important to hear from different people and what they are doing in their background to inspire others as well. So thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, Isaac. Take care.
Bye.
Wenn euch der Podcast gefallen hat, vergesst bitte nicht, den Podcast zu liken, zu kommentieren und zu teilen. So können auch andere Interessierte den Podcast besser finden. Kontaktiert mich gerne auf LinkedIn oder unter andreas.helm@black-forest-nature.de. Vielen Dank und bis zum nächsten Mal bei Mach Neu.